Hi, I'm Kelly Forshaw-Smith, Head Medical Trainer for the Finishing Touches Group and Director and Technician of Medicos London. And today we have...
Paula Mcdonald.
Paula came into the industry after losing her own eyebrows to illness, and she loved it from that moment on. She decided she was a dedicated artist beforehand, so it made the transition quite easy for her. She trained in 2016 and founded her own company with her sister in 2018. She is based in Paisley, Glasgow, and she offers training, and also she has a new and exciting masterclass that will be on the road next year. So Paula, welcome. Your topic today is From Paper to Person, an artist's guide. So welcome, Paula.
Hi.
How are you doing?
I'm good, thank you. Thank you for having me.
You're very welcome. So I've seen your amazing artwork and your amazing treatments as well, which are technically the artwork that you do. So you mentioned before, have you always been an artist?
Yeah, for as long as I can remember. I honed in on it about 14 years ago when I was, again, mentioning when I was a bit poorly. I wasn't able to work for a number of years, so I focused in on the artwork then. But yeah, I've always been an artist. Yeah.
What's your favourite medium as artwork to work on?
Oh, graphite pencils, always.
Absolutely. I mean, some of the stuff that you do is absolutely incredible. Do you sell them?
I used to do something. Yeah, but I keep them now. I do them for so long, it takes me so many hours to do them that I get a little bit precious. And I keep them.
They're mine, my precious. Like Gollum with the rock, they're mine.
That's exactly like me, yeah.
How do you apply your artistic side to your permanent makeup?
So I think I always found it relatively easy to draw. The thing that annoys everybody, I think, and I hate to say it out loud, but I never ever found it very difficult to draw an eyebrow.
Yeah.
But I think the biggest thing was the colour theory. It's very similar. So applying colour the way you would as an artist to the face was a massive help. So I think that's probably where it came into sort of focus more than anything.
Do you think then that it helps for somebody to understand maybe the primary colours of what you're using and then your secondary, tertiaries, or do you just need to understand the range of what you're using?
No, I think you need to understand it. I think you do. I think it's really important that you do, actually. It's a bit of a gap that I see frequently. And yeah, I focus a whole day on colour and the sort of, I like to layer colour. That's one of the things that I like to do as an artist and as a permanent makeup artist as well. So yeah, I do.
By layering, do you layer it as you go on the one treatment, or do they come back and then you layer it the next time?
Depends. It depends what I'm doing. On a correction, quite often I'll do it on subsequent treatments.
Yeah.
As an initial treatment, no, I layer all the time. Yeah.
When you choose your pigments, do you use it with an artistic eye of like how you would choose your paint, so to speak?
Sometimes, yeah. It depends on the person. It depends on the palette that you're working with. So yeah, absolutely. It's almost in there and it just computes. I've done it for so long that it's...
I think what's quite hard for me anyway, obviously I'm not as artistic as you am, although I did get 10% of the country in art. Is that when you look at the organic pigments in particular, I mean, we've got a colour in our range called Truly Brown. And if I was to show a client, this is the colour I'm doing, it looks green. But obviously when you tattoo it into somebody's skin using micropigmentation, it doesn't look like that at all. It's quite, is it not tricky to try and choose your paints, so to speak?
When I get new pigments and things, you will see all the people online doing it on Instagram for the lovely photos, but I do that all the time. I mix things, I put them in bottles, I wipe them on my arm, I put them on barrier film, which is a blue hue. It lets you see what's going on. I do that with all my new pigments, always. I do it with paint as well, though.
Yeah, well, that's perfect. So that's literally what you're doing with paint. You do exactly with your pigments. You trial them out, you put them in water to see the colours that they've got, different mediums that you're putting on. That's genius. I like that. That's brilliant. So with your correctional work, I mentioned about them going back to the primary colours to know this. Is that's the start of art, obviously, is the primary. When you go to nursery and they teach you the basis of it and then the next colour equals this. Does that help with your correctional work when you're doing it?
Oh, without a doubt, yeah. Oh, there's no question, because it's ingrained on your brain. So it's just very much in there. And I think it's really important to understand what you're working with, and that there's a veil when you have skin as well. It's not just the colour that you're putting on your hand or your piece of paper. You've got something else to add into the mix, which makes it kind of fun. It's a bit scary for people, but I quite like it.
I think when you first begin, like in anything that you do, you've just got to keep practicing, keep trying different ways, seeing what things look like. Like you mentioned, that tip that you mentioned about putting it on different mediums, putting it on your hand, putting it on, I'm sure your husband will love it, but put it on your husband's hand, use a different
Exactly.
They love it. They just go around with all this makeup done. Wonderful eyebrows.
It really doesn't love it. It really hates it.
Also, so for example, for the correction, so say you've got somebody who's got blue eyebrows. Well, I mentioned obviously the colour wheel with correction.
Sure.
Would that be something you'd use in your artistic life as well, or you're used to that now? You know what you'd use.
I think I just know what I use, but it's something that I do train, because it's things that are missed frequently, and it's where you see most mistakes being made. People get grey eyebrows, blue eyebrows, purple eyebrows, because they're not choosing the correct colour from the outset. So no, I think it's just in my head and it computes, and I think it's really important.
Yeah, so anyone out there who's maybe thinking of doing this, and what I'm talking about, in case you're wondering what is she going on about, is a colour wheel is where you've got your primary colours. So you've got your blue, your red, and your yellow. And then when they're mixed together, this is what you learn in nursery, when they're mixed together, you then get your red and your yellow equals green, and so on. Am I getting that right? Yes, I am. And red and yellow is orange, and so on. And they just keep getting like divided up, if you like, until you get the pigments that are actually designed that you have now. You still need to understand the base of those, but if you're correcting a brow, so say maybe someone's had it done and it's gone really blue in color, like blue, like as blue as you can imagine, you need to, well, ideally have it removed. But if you can't have it removed for any reason, and maybe the shape's good, you just want a color correction, you would then use an orange, for example, to colour counteract something, and vice versa. It goes with all the different colours. But you teach that in your training anyway, don't you?
Always, yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, the biggest thing is you want it to go back to brown, don't you? So it's working out how to make brown from what you have in the skin. So yeah, I do teach it.
Also, like, so when I do a lot of medical work, and when I do my medical work, I actually decided to take up life drawing. And that for me really, really helped. I mean, it was also like the inner artist within wanting to come out, but it was more the case of I started looking at things slightly differently. And with eyesight wise, is you're always stronger. I don't know if this is correct, but you're always stronger on one side than you are the other. So I found that I was positioning myself when I was drawing something more to one side where I could see clearer. I think that's the same thing, isn't it? When you're working, you should move around when you're working.
Yeah, something that I say quite frequently is always work from behind.
Yeah.
It tricks your brain. Your brain has its logical side, and then it has the other side. And what you want to do when you look at someone face on, and it always puzzled me when people draw an eyebrow sitting up, puzzles me, because your brain draws what it thinks you want it to see. So it draws what you think an eyebrow looks like. But actually, if you flip it upside down, you look at bone structure, shape, shadows. So I always work from behind.
So you draw on your eyebrows, for example, with someone lying down?
Always.
Oh, that's fair.
I also draw upside down as well.
You do lips as well with them lying down?
I do, yep, to draw them on, because you don't look at what you think a lip looks like. You trick your brain, and it looks at shape, shadow. Yeah.
Oh, I love this. This is brilliant. And also, I guess again, you could maybe draw it on, lie them back down, then draw back in, and like just keep getting them up and down, basically.
Definitely. Obviously, you need to get them back up, because obviously gravity does its thing when people sit up. But in terms of looking at actual bone structure and what suits that person, get them down and upside down. Absolutely.
And you do your art from behind as well? When you're
always upside down. Yeah.
Wow, that is very, very interesting. Because also I do quite a lot of 3D stuff with the areola for creating the nipple, and I just wasn't getting it. So again, I looked into more 3D artwork. And I sat and I put shadows behind different things. So I wanted to learn, say it was the nipple. I wanted to see where the shadow came and where the highlight point is. They're all things. There's so many things to do with art that you can use in with your everyday practice.
Absolutely. I completely agree with that. And I do actually get people to draw when they come on my courses, because I think it is the fundamentals, really. you have to have a little bit of a base. You don't need to be an artist, of course not. You can learn that stuff, but to have a little bit of a base is a foot up for sure.
Absolutely. So when people are doing their drawing in, or maybe they're sketching their brand new and they're sketching their practicing during lockdown, like we're all doing, you do that from behind as well, rather than from the side or the front?
Always, yeah, always from behind.
That is a brilliant tip. I'm loving that. Like I said, I do think you, like, obviously you're very precious with your artwork, but I love it. Maybe you should get them made into prints and sell them, because I'd buy them.
I used to sell gilet prints, but I don't know. I'll be honest, my artwork was my therapy when I was poorly.
Yeah.
So it's never been a commercial thing for me. It's just something that I love to do. So I'm a bit, I'm all about the eyebrows now.
It's all about the brows, I love it. So we mentioned that needles are the paintbrush of the skin. That's what I comment on. What are your favorite needles to use on the face and why?
Oh, okay. So I like a single needle. I like a single acupuncture needle more often than not. I quite like a nano needle, but it's not great for most skins, so I stick with big fat single most of the time. And a 3-round liner I like as well.
Do you do everything? Is that for everything?
Yeah, I'm a bit naughty sometimes. I do like a single needle. I'm very, very light-handed, so I'm very careful what I'm doing. But I do like a round liner if I've got somebody with skin that's a bit more sensitive. I often do my liners with a round liner, but I use a really tiny one. But yeah.
So maybe if they're first starting, maybe use a slightly bigger needle.
I would, definitely.
You've got to be very careful, haven't you? It's only for someone who's experienced.
Definitely. I mean, you see purple hair strokes is always from somebody using that nano needle, and don't do that. Don't do it.
That is not a good. What machines and pigments do you favour?
So I'm a bit of a Xylon lover. My Xylon S, I use it for everything. I really do. I use other machines. I have other machines. I pick them up, and halfway through the treatment, I'm like, off you go, and get my Xylon back out again. I do love it.
I guess you do that sort of thing with your paints and your brushes and so on. Yeah, like you literally pick whichever brush and you start it. You think, right, no, I'm going to now use this brush. Okay.
Definitely.
So you could get a number.
Here's a nice snippet of information. I've got clinical OCD, so I do like things, but I find things that I love and I do grip onto them a little bit. So my Xylon, I'm like, it's my best friend. And even the one, I've got a spare one just in case. And I don't even like that one. I like the one that I have and I use.
I love it. And what pigments do you favour?
So pigments, for a long time I used Permablend. I love the Tina Davies range. But I think that I've kind of branched out a little bit now, and I actually really love the Colour Essence pigments. I think there's a place for both of them. But at the moment I'm investigating and loving Colour Essence, and yeah, really, really beautiful.
I think you've got to try different pigments as well, and then find something that suits you. Like you said, it depends what canvas, so to speak, that you're working on, because it's going to be different. Each of them is going to take better with certain people, and it'll be time that you'll be able to tell that through. Do you dilute your pigment like a water paint? So instead of it being acrylic, do you dilute it to be a water paint, or not really?
Not often. Very rarely. I'll change technique more than I would dilute pigment. But if I've got somebody older, I might dilute it a bit. Somebody with really, really damaged skin, sometimes I'll dilute it a little bit, but more often than not, no.
No, I've probably just changed my speed more than anything.
Yeah, me too.
Of the velocity of the thing. But I mean, you could do. I just always think with water paint, nothing good comes out being watered, like alcohol when you water it down. Nothing good comes out of being watered down.
It's just frustrating.
It is, definitely. Oh, Paula, this has been absolutely brilliant. I think we need to chat again at some point and do another interview with you, because this has been really good. I've honestly picked up loads of tips myself. So I hope that anyone out there who's thinking of training or thinking of doing these procedures, or has picked up tips like I have, can then try them out, see if they work for them, and then move forward to having even better procedures.
I would love that. I would love to hear if anybody did. I'd love to hear.
If you've got any questions, then you can contact Paula or myself, or you can comment below. Please subscribe, get everyone else to subscribe as well. And yeah, it's been a pleasure, Paula. Thank you so much with an artist side.
Thank you, really. No bother. It was a pleasure. Thank you.
Take care. Bye-bye. Bye.